Today on the Diz List, we discuss the top 5 rides that aren't worth the wait at Walt Disney World.
Welcome to the Diz List, the podcast that ranks everything in Walt Disney World. I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob, and welcome to episode 37, where we discuss the top 5 rides that aren't worth the wait at Walt Disney World.
But before we get to the list, if you've been enjoying the show, please take the time to rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to share us with friends and family who you think would enjoy listening along. By the way,
Yeah.
I have to bring up something that we did last week.
Uh-oh.
I got to pull the curtain back.
Oh, I thought I was getting in trouble again. Am I getting called in the principal's office?
So let's pull the curtain back. Last week, I showed up to record.
Oh,
And
yeah, okay, I know where you're going.
yeah, everything was kind of a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
The microphones weren't working.
Yep.
The
We were getting a weird echo.
it was awful, right?
Yeah.
And you got a little frustrated.
A lot frustrated.
Yeah. Well, I was being nice.
Well, and I wasn't my normal self.
No, you weren't.
I was short and I wasn't saying much. It was basically the Nick show featuring Rob.
And on top of that, you, who never forgets stuff about Disney, like screwed some stuff up with names and locations of stuff, and you never do that.
I did.
And I called you out the one time about where Beauty and the Beast is.
Yeah, and well deserved.
Enchanted Tales of Belle, it's back by the Beast Castle. But then you also confidently said
Frozen after ever.
Yeah, you said that first, and then I was like, it's ever after. And that whole thing threw me off so much. And we were having such a weird day that I didn't really correct it because I was like, this day's been like awful. Like we're an hour behind. Like, how is this happening? And it turns out we just were idiots last week.
Well, it gets worse.
It gets worse, yeah. Because
then
you actually call it the Frozen Ride.
No, it gets worse because
Oh, yeah.
you left, and then it turns out that part 1 of our show it just wasn't there. I opened the episode back up to export and upload to Anchor, and we opened it and the files were empty. So like we opened our file and there's timelines for where our voice is, and like Nick was looking right at it. It was just empty.
Emptiness, yeah.
And we saved it. Like, it was just bizarre.
Yeah.
I was like, could this get any worse? At least we got half of the episode. The second half was good.
So we wanted to make sure we corrected ourselves when we made a mistake. Frozen Ever After is the name of the ride.
Yes.
And it's the sing-along, which you're like, doesn't it say sing-along right on it? Yeah, because
for the first time in forever.
A celebration sing-along or something, a sing-along celebration. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, we made a mistake. We can own the mistake.
Yeah.
We were a little frustrated after spending an hour trying to figure out why.
Yeah.
It sounded like we were on echo mode.
Yeah.
But we got it.
Yeah. So the princess episode, I think it turned out pretty good. Again, shout out to our buddy Brian for sponsoring the halftime show, Pizza Wizard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was listening back and I'm just thinking like, well, it took us 3 times, but we finally got it down. And like, I'm not sure because I haven't even told my wife that we were correcting ourselves here, but I think she listened to the episode, knew we made a mistake, and didn't want to correct it because she was afraid that I was going to.
It's fine. I have a thick skin most of the time.
Yeah, I do usually, but like I was so frustrated because we were both frustrated.
Yeah. That
we made mistakes and stuff that I was like, oh, I'm gonna hear it from her, but she didn't say anything, so thank you.
Did anybody say anything online?
Nobody called us out, but they probably just thought, yeah, we're gonna stop listening to these jerks.
Well, yeah.
Well, look,
why did our listenership drop off all of a sudden?
It's because we thought that it's Frozen After Ever.
That was funny.
Which is located in Hollywood Studios, and we've changed the name of the ride to just literally Frozen the Ride. That's so funny.
Next time we show up, I'm going to snap off the part that says ever, and then like move it.
Have you been keeping up on any Disney news this week?
There's been a lot this week. It's hard to keep up with all of it, and there's all this. Bob Iger has been talking about different changes for the parks and putting an emphasis on bringing in different IP. I guess I could say new, but like, if you're talking specifically about Encanto, they've already discussed that they're going to bring Mirabelle in the parks, and what else? They they rehired one of the Imagineers that helped design Animal Kingdom. So I guess in the cast member and Imagineer community, that's like big deal news.
They brought him back into the creative realm. Yeah, I mean I'm excited for that. Did you see the crazy robot?
No.
The Judy Hopps robot?
No.
Do yourself a favor. Look up the video of this.
Is this at Shanghai?
No. It was at South by Southwest. They debuted this prototype that was very clearly Judy Hopps.
A walk around, or what's it for? For a ride?
I don't even know how to describe to you this in its full glory. It was rollerblading on stage, fell down and stood itself back up.
What?
The guy picks it up to put it on his shoulders, and it, just like a kid would, makes his legs a little wider so that it can fit around his neck. It is insane.
How much does that thing weigh?
Obviously not much. The guy he's not a big dude. He put him on his shoulders. I'm telling you this, we are at a point where we're going to start. Okay, so between that, right, Judy Hopps,
yeah,
and then they debuted a life-size Tinkerbell.
Oh, that I saw. That was cool.
When are we going to get a real Mickey Mouse?
Yeah.
How long before you're not hugging Mickey Mouse because Mickey Mouse is standing knee high?
Well, and to be fair though, they did make some really cool. I don't even know exactly when they debuted this, but it's still every time I see Mickey blink and smile and talk,
God,
it's so cool.
That is very cool. But I'm just telling you, if they can do
a Mickey that's a small Mickey, walking around,
this is insane. The stuff that's coming out, and the robotics and stuff. And guess what? I understand that means that some actors might be out of a job as cast members.
Well, they have to have handlers.
Right? And my other thing is this. While that might be true, one of the reasons we don't have as many characters represented in the parks is because of the fact that they don't have enough cast members to act it. So maybe that could change. I don't know. All I can say is that interaction that I watched with the actual life-size, fairy-sized Tinkerbell was pretty cool.
It was cool. That I saw.
The Judy Hopps thing was awesome. And then, the announcements of the Imagineer being put back in charge, he had left under Chapek because Chapek didn't want a creative in charge of that particular branch. It's some good news. And I heard Iger make comments this week about, recognizing that Disney kind of screwed up hiking prices at parks and questioned the need for the upcharges.
Yeah.
Of course, he didn't do away with them, mind you. But
he did have a good argument for the park reservation system, which I realize people don't like the idea of doing that, but he sort of explained it as far as he doesn't want overcrowding, and he doesn't want people to have a horrible experience. So if you have to reserve that day in the parks, that's why there's a cutoff so it doesn't get out of control, which I guess is a good argument, but at the same time, it makes spontaneity very difficult when planning your vacation.
I would like to know when the last time that Disney trips were spontaneous.
Well, it depends on the person. I mean, you and I like to know what we're doing every day, and we have, we like to do spreadsheets and things like that.
But it's more spontaneous now than it was before. Because before you were booking stuff at 180 days.
Well, and then the spontaneity too is if you're looking at Disney Genie Plus, our friends over at Ear Scouts have sort of invented the Disney Genie slots, which if you don't know what we're talking about, there is a YouTube account of friends of ours called Ear Scouts, and I believe they coined it. They're calling it the slots, like a slot machine, basically.
Yeah. It changes the whole way you look at things. Instead of thinking of it as a service that gives you things, you look at it as a service that's a game.
Yeah,
and see what you win.
And Rob kind of describes it as you take your phone, which has My Disney Experience on it, and you kind of pull down. And it's almost like a slot machine.
Pulling the slot.
And what you look at is you look at the shortest wait time that you can get, and whatever comes up is wherever you can go. And you have a good point. That's spontaneity right there. But
yeah, it's fine with me that the spontaneity is kind of not there. I'm fine with the planning, but you've got to admit planning a vacation can be hard.
Very hard.
You remember the first time you went? How hard it was?
I did, and as many times as I've been in my life, and I don't know, 21, 22 times I've been to Walt Disney World, I always went with my family. my mom would handle it, or my dad, or any of my relatives in Florida. But when I started going later in life with my family, it was hard. We actually sought out somebody to help us out.
Yeah. Well, as it turns out, we have one such person who's sponsoring this week's halftime show. So this week, the halftime show is brought to you by Amanda Hebert. Planning a Disney vacation can be quite difficult this day and age, and I think having a travel agent like Amanda Hebert would be absolutely beneficial to somebody who's going for the first time, the second time, or even the 10th time if they just don't want to plan for themselves.
Well, there's so much to do, and I mean, you look into what you're going to book for each park, and food, and all types of other things, but it kind of takes a little bit of stress off the first time.
I agree. And so one of the things we wanted to do when Skittles decided no longer to sponsor us was to offer up a chance to, have us highlight you. And Amanda reached out. Amanda Hebert is an affiliated agent with MEI Travel, and they take care of all the stress, all the hassle of planning your dream vacation. It also doesn't cost you anything. In fact, usually they're able to save you money. One of the things she said to me is there's no vacation too small or too big. If it's Walt Disney World, if it's a cruise line one, maybe it's an all-inclusive that's not Disney. Amanda is definitely the person to contact. You can actually find her on Instagram and on Facebook at Vacay with Amanda. That's VACA with Amanda. And then you can actually check her out at our website, www.mei-travel.com/amanda.hebert. I'm going to put links to this in the show notes, but believe me when I say that planning a Disney vacation can be hard.
Well, and you said earlier too, another biggie too is you're going to save money, because a lot of these travel agents, they get some of the different deals that you not necessarily see when you go online to book your own.
Yeah.
Like they are made aware of, hey, if you do this, you can get the free dining plan. Like we did that one time when we went through our travel agent. They got us a free dining plan. It was fantastic. Yeah. And one time it was like 20% off a room, and it's great. So I highly recommend it.
Yes. So again, if you're looking to plan your Walt Disney World vacation or any other vacation, contact Amanda Hebert, an MEI travel agent. Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere and even earn money, all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. No matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify. When you want to take your conversation with your fans to the next level, Q&A and polls are the best way to get them talking. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. Best of all, it's totally free, and there's no catch. When we discovered Spotify for Podcasters, we unlocked a door to a world where we could celebrate our passion, and we could create a community around what we love. I highly recommend you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. Welcome back. Today we're going to count down the top 5 rides that are not worth the wait. I think we might upset some people, but that'll be okay. They'll get over it.
Well, and I want to say before we begin that not worth the wait doesn't mean not good.
Exactly.
There's some on this list that I really enjoy, but if I see that the line is 2.5 hours, I'll go, meh, there's other good stuff.
I'll tell you that there are 4 of my 5 that I will not end my trip without having done. I don't ride them in the middle of the day.
Sure. I think we're going to overlap on some of these.
I find a time when it's not like this. I will say, too, that one of mine on my list, I just randomly said to my son yesterday, I was like, so what ride is not worth the wait? And without hesitation, it took him like not even 5 seconds.
Yeah. I did this with my wife, too.
She
had one like this.
He said a ride, and it was literally my number 1. I was like, yep, okay. And then he asked my wife, he's like, hey, mommy, And guess what she said? The same one. So I think we're all on the same page. It's a very good chance that, and it's a ride we will always ride, by the way. I think
then we're on a different page then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this list is going to end differently.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, again, if you're a first-time listener, we do not share our list. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
We do not know when we begin the show. It's all a surprise every time we go.
And I do want to reiterate what Rob said, that like not worth the wait means not worth the average wait, right? I don't usually end up going on rides that are too long of a wait anyway, but these ones are ones that if I saw the wait to be what their average is, and like on mine, I checked them and like all of them are at or just above an hour,
Yep.
for their average wait times. I went to a website that keeps track of that. I can't remember which website it was. I can't remember if it was
Touring Plans?
Touring Plans, or if it was a website along those. I think it was Touring Plans I was on that looked at average wait times.
Yeah.
But if you play it right, you don't have to wait as long for these rides. So don't take this as us not wanting to ride them.
Yep.
So what do you think? You want to get started here?
Yeah, I'll get started. And this one, it kind of backfired on me because this particular ride, and I know this is probably going to be on your list, this particular ride has one of the longest waits, and every time we walked by this in the 2-3 times we were in this park, I went, we'll ride it later. Line's too long. And that's Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. The line was too long over and over and over. And we screwed up because we waited, and then by the time we were ready to go, the line was still super long. Now, if you've been to the parks before, you can picture in your mind where the entrance to get in. Once you get in to wait in line, it snakes you back and forth, and then inside, you're in these tunnels with these gems, and you go back and forth. Now, outside, picture the line going right from where the entrance is, all the way around the entire ride, all the way past Mad Tea Party, all the way back to the Little Mermaid ride.
When were you there that it was that long?
Christmas.
Oh, well, yeah.
Christmas 2019, that was the longest, and I don't even remember what the time was. It doesn't matter because the line was all the way around back, all the way to Little Mermaid.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So this past summer we thought we had it hacked. Remember?
We did
because like
we blew it.
There was a storm, and so lightning had struck or something, and all of the outdoor rides were shut down. And then we saw that it came back up, or so we thought.
Yep. And some of the rides did.
Yeah. I said the roller coasters are back up. Let's go. And we rushed over there because we knew no one was in line. And we got there, and we were probably where we were standing would have been a 5-minute wait.
Yep.
Because they hadn't opened up the queue yet. And I was like, they're opening it. It
would have taken us 5 minutes to walk through the queue, and that would have been the 5-minute wait.
And then we saw maintenance walking into the tunnel. And I was like, uh-oh.
No.
But we got to watch fireworks from in that queue.
It was really cool. So from where we were at the entrance of Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, you have like the back view of the castle. And we saw that some of the fireworks come off the roof above like where Winnie the Pooh was.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was even part of it. It was kind of cool.
Yeah. So that was a fun, actually time where, you didn't get what you wanted, but you got something else that you didn't know you needed.
Yeah. But unfortunately, we looked at that sign and went, not really worth the wait too many times. But the ride is great.
It is a great ride.
It is. It's a great ride, but a lot of times that number is so high that we as a family kind of say to ourselves, well, we can probably do 4 rides in the amount of time that we wait for that one.
I'll be honest, this isn't on my list.
Yeah, really?
It actually, I made a list out and rearranged everything into the order, and this fell at number 6.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that it is a great roller coaster, and it's good enough to bump it down where it is worth a little bit of a longer wait. But I felt like there was another ride that was more worthy to be above this.
Sure. What do you got?
So number 5 for me, you currently can't ride anyway. So you don't have to worry about waiting for it, which is actually going to bump up the wait time, the rest of the wait times in that park. But number 5 for me is Rock and Roller Coaster.
Ah, gotcha.
It's a long wait time. I was looking yesterday. It's like the average wait time in 2023 has been 70 minutes. Now, to be fair, some of the reason for that is that a lot of people were going to this because they knew it was closing down for a while, long-term refurbishment, and there had been so many rumors about what was going to happen during said refurbishment. Plus, you had Tower of Terror until recently was only operating at half capacity. So a lot of people were seeing that line and walking over to Rock and Roller Coaster. But Rock and Roller Coaster is only slightly longer than Tron.
Yeah.
I think they had said. Like it's a short ride. And as a result, I feel like waiting 70 plus minutes for that ride isn't worth it. It's a good ride, not a great ride. And for that reason, I can't justify waiting the amount of time.
Well, it's not on my list.
Okay.
But it easily could be, because as soon as you said that,
Yeah.
I thought of the reason I hate the line. And that's because I'm bald. And I wear hats when I'm at Disney. But you were in the sun for a huge amount of that queue.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you picture that queue, I mean, you're basically standing out in front of the building, snaking back and forth in these ropes, and you just
waiting to get in the
burn.
show.
Yeah. I think we had our UV umbrellas out for that one. I remember
This past summer? No, this past summer was actually short wait. I think there was.
It was the time we went before, not the time we went with you guys. And I remember waiting in that line, and my wife doing, we got what was that for? We were waiting in line, and it was for Star Wars. Remember when they would have 2 times during the day where you could go on and try to jump in that queue?
Yep.
It was the second time, was 11:30 or something. I remember waiting in that line, and we got it. I know that's not related to this, but that's how I remember which trip is which. But yeah, we waited in that sun for a long time.
This is a ride that I highly recommend. If you play your cards right, you get a fast pass a lightning lane for.
And we did.
Yeah, we did. That's the only reason that we were able to get on as quickly as we did.
Right, and it wasn't our whole group. I think it was.
No, it was just 4 of us. Yeah.
And then.
Yeah.
Really?
No, it was 5 of us. It was 5 of us.
Yeah, it was.
But what ended up happening was we had played the whole let's go and rope drop the stuff we want in Toy Story Land.
Yep.
We woke up early, got a fast pass. I keep saying that.
It's all right.
A lightning lane.
I think everybody knows what you're talking about.
Yeah. So we woke up and one of us was in charge. I can't remember which was which, but one of us was in charge of the lightning lane and one of us was in charge of purchasing the individual lightning lane, because we were there as a group, and we purchased the individual lightning lane and also scored a Slinky Dog.
Yeah,
so
we got lucky.
So we had Rise, we had Slinky Dog out of the way. So basically, as soon as we tapped into Slinky Dog, I played the Genie slots, and we ended up with doing all of our rides we wanted to do in that park by 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah, I don't think we stayed that late. We went back and...
As I recall, we actually waited in the full line for Tower of Terror.
Yes, we did.
And it wasn't long at that point, because after the first rush, it kind of slows down a little bit.
Still pretty steamy, I remember.
Yeah, but with a fast pass or lightning lane or whatever they're being called this week,
fair enough.
It is definitely worth it, but it is not worth a 70-minute wait for that ride.
Yeah,
especially with the theming that brings you right back to the mid 1990s with hair bands and Aerosmith playing songs from Pump. So it is what it is. It's a ride that's on my list of TLC rides, as we said. But yeah, number 5 for me, not worth the wait. Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yeah, I love me some hair bands, but Aerosmith is not on that list. My number 4 is a ride that I love, my kids love, and we enjoy doing this, but occasionally we walk by and this line is out of control. And I will tell you why it's out of control. Because it's the neighboring ride to Flight of Passage.
Okay.
So if you were in Animal Kingdom and you go back into the Avatar area, people will try to get on Flight of Passage, which is a fantastic ride and worth the wait. So that's another show.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that another time. So when they go back and they look and go, oh my gosh, seriously, 3-hour wait. I'm exaggerating, but
you're not. That's what the wait is posted as.
Yeah,
I've never waited that long, but that's sometimes what it's posted.
And people look up and they go, well, geez, now what do I do? They look to their left and they see, oh, there's another line. What's this? There isn't a giant sign posted because in Avatar Land, the signage is much different. They have sculptures that represent the ride, which is kind of cool and artistic. But then people will kind of move over and go on Navi River Journey. Navi River Journey is cool. I really like it. It's relaxing. But a lot of times it gets all those overflow people that are trying to get on Flight of Passage and they just go over and get on Navi River Journey. So I wonder what the average wait time is for that.
I mean, I can tell you that when I looked this up, it was pretty high.
Over an hour.
Yep.
It was good, but I don't know if it's an hour wait ride.
It was at like 72 minutes for the average in 2023. I've got some other comments on it. I'm going to wait until later to tell you about them.
Sure.
Because it's on my list.
Yeah, I really enjoy this ride. My kids love to sing along. They have a blast. It has that great animatronic, but man, I don't know. And the queue is okay. It's at least undercover, but it's just such a long line for a ride that's okay and relaxing, but if I had to skip it, it wouldn't ruin my trip. That's kind of how I look at these rides here. Would it ruin my trip? Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, great ride. I regret not doing it, but that one's out of control. Then my number 4, Navi River Journey. So I don't know. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Not really worth the wait for me. What do you have for 4?
So my number 4 is one that I think you might be surprised with, or maybe not. I don't know. I guess maybe it could be on your list. We have talked before about our love for Star Wars, but there is a ride that I believe is not worth the wait in Hollywood Studios, and it is Smuggler's Run.
I will join you because it's my number 3.
Okay.
So we can do this one together.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Millennium Falcon, the whole wait is for the queue.
Yeah.
For me.
Yes.
I get so pumped in that being in Millennium Falcon, but then you walk into the cockpit and I'm like, okay, cool. This is
now
not
we
even...
gotta play a video game that we're gonna fail at.
Right, we're gonna play a video game we're gonna fail at. I'm gonna be concentrating on stuff, everything but the ride itself.
I know.
And people are gonna be yelling. That's why it was fun to go on with you guys, because it's like nobody's gonna yell at me here.
Yeah, we had a group of 6.
We all suck equally.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that it's a fun ride, but like I said, the only reason I'm even going on that ride is to get inside Millennium Falcon.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's on your list too, so why don't you tell us why
Hondo is he's a character from the Star Wars cartoon series, Rebels.
Right.
That Mikey's going to kill me. I don't like any of the animated stuff at all. My buddy Mikey loves it. He knows all about it, and he's been trying to sell me on it for years. But there's a couple good characters that came out of that show, okay? So I'm sure Mikey's onto something. I just don't like the style of animation. And one of those characters turned out to be on the new Mandalorian show, and that is
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka. And the one character that they feature in this ride is a character named Hondo, who's kind of this fun character with this kind of goofy accent, makes little jokes. He's kind of an entertaining character.
He's very good.
He is, and Hondo is this incredible animatronic.
Oh yeah, made our list.
Yes, and I'm a huge fan of that part of the ride. But if you're looking at the wait time and it's an hour and a half, 2 hours, the first half of the queue, although undercover, I always think about that, so I'm not roasting. You're kind of in this. It's almost like you're just in some giant warehouse. So it's cool, but like. Is it really that cool? I don't know. It's not the greatest ride. If we're looking at what's our end goal experience is doing that ride, for me, I just like being in the Millennium Falcon cockpit and sitting down at that table.
Yeah.
That was my favorite part of the whole thing.
We've said before on this show that queue should just stop after you get on the Millennium Falcon. It should be like the Swiss Family Robinson.
The walk-through queue.
Yeah, the queue that goes nowhere. Or make it a gift shop or make a dining experience. I don't know. But you know what? Take that queue and put it over at Star Tours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like the Star Tours queue also.
Because it's a very similar idea. You get in this cockpit that moves around and shakes you, and you got a 3D imagery in front of you, and you're flying through the air. And except for now you're interactive, so you're nervous the whole time. They're going to screw something up and run into a wall.
And if you go in with another group of people that are super serious and angry, now the pressure's on you and you don't have fun on the ride.
And there's apparently, and Mikey sent me this on Instagram, there's a cheat code that you can do.
Yeah, I heard about that.
It's like the old school Nintendo style cheat codes, and you end up with Chewie as your co-pilot, which is awesome.
And you don't know what to do because Hondo tells you when to go up and down, and Chewie's just going to go... Yeah, and you're like, okay, what? I don't speak Wookiees.
Yeah, right. So I like the queue. Love the queue. In fact, think the animatronic is worth waiting in that line to see. I don't think the ride's worth. worth it. And I would not do it without a fast pass personally.
So that was also my number 3. So we both kind of tag team that one. So it goes back to you again for your number 3.
My number 3 is one that's probably going to make some people angry.
Oh, good.
And I really don't care because I've said it before on this show. And the wait for this ride was not that long until a little bit ago, and that is Jungle Cruise.
Right.
So once they released the new Jungle Cruise movie with The Rock, that's when kind of everything hit the fan here.
Yeah.
And everybody wanted to go on it. And then when they put in the new scene, everybody wanted to go on it. And I'm sorry, it's not a good ride. It's not. And when you look at a wait that hovers around an hour, and again, it's another cue that you're kind of baking in the sun. And even if you're not, when you're undercover, like,
it's super humid, and you're super close to all the other people.
I don't know what it is about that particular location. I don't know if it's the water or whatever right there, but it is very humid, very sticky. There are some cool little things to see in the queue and whatnot, but I feel like they need to stop writing the script. That's another thing. If they didn't write a script and they just hired comedians to do it, like Josh Gad was just on there, I thought that was pretty funny. But if they had people who were funny in general and didn't have to tell those silly jokes.
Well, they do and they don't. On that ride, they're given kind of options and different jokes that they can use and kind of incorporate and make it their own. Right. But you are still correct. They do have different written ones that they can use, and it's sort of like not like a choose your own adventure, Mad Libs or
they can kind of insert here and there. Now, I will say this, that this ride is technically the wait for this ride is on average in 2023 has been right around 50 minutes, 50. I don't think that's a ton of time if you're in a park like Hollywood Studios where there's like 8 rides. But when you're in Magic Kingdom and there's that many rides to do, and that's the only reason it's low is because there's so many rides to do.
Yeah, and if you're going to try to check everything off your list, it's hard to do.
It's a ride that I will do. It's one that I don't mind skipping though, and especially with the wait. So I said before that like every single, we said the rides on this are things we like to do. I will do this every time because my kids do enjoy it. For me, if I was doing a solo trip, I don't know that I would wait in a line for this longer than 40 minutes, and that's pushing it.
Well, it's also a gamble too with the audio. I mean, some people's voices really travel. Ours do. We have those kind of voices.
And the boat too. The boat like audio in there, the speakers could be an issue too.
Right. And a lot of times there's younger girls with higher voices who are really funny, and that just has to do with kind of the frequency that you can hear. So when that sound frequency comes through that microphone with the distortion on it, like when you're on the subway in New York City, it's difficult to understand. Yeah. So that becomes hard for me, especially because I don't have the greatest hearing in the world.
Right.
It's harder for me to hear.
Standing in front of amps most of your life will do that.
No, it's
but
self-inflicted wounds.
Yeah, exactly. This is your own fault.
Yeah.
Jungle Cruise for me, fun ride, not a great ride. Jungle Cruise for my family, they love it. That said, I'm not waiting in this line if I'm solo. And we're going to try very hard to get a fast pass, I keep doing it, lightning lane. But I'm going to be honest, it's not that hard to get a lightning lane for this one.
No.
So this is one where you can get one later in the day if you needed to.
And the wait may change too if they decide to make the Jungle Cruise into a franchise, which they've discussed. I have no idea if they're making a second one. Do you?
I don't know.
Okay, just curious.
But
I thought the movie was okay. Did you see the movie?
I thought the movie's better than the ride. I'm not a fan of the ride. We've had this discussion.
Anything with The Rock in it generally is pretty good.
Yeah, I think he did a good job.
Yeah.
XFL's not. What are you talking about?
Well, it's not one of his movies. If he turned the XFL into a movie, it would be better.
Probably.
Yeah.
So that brings us to your number 2. What do you got for number 2?
Number 2 is, I don't know. I've never really connected with this ride. I mean, I think it's cool, and it doesn't really have the nostalgia factor that other rides do in the Magic Kingdom for me, and that's Peter Pan's Flight. Peter Pan's Flight, and Nick's smiling, so he may jump in, he may not. Peter Pan's Flight is always such a long wait. I don't know if I've ever seen Peter Pan's Flight under an hour. And doing research for Disneyland, it's the same there. It's an hour long. And if you look at, also speaking of Disneyland, since it's on my mind and I've been researching it a bunch, the other rides around it that are comparable and similar to it, a similar dark ride, Pinocchio, short wait. Mr. Toad, a little longer. What's the other one over there? There's Alice in Wonderland.
How about the Snow White one?
The Snow White one, that one, it's not quite as long as this, but they redid it. And that's funny, too, because it has new and current technology in Snow White's, I'm going to goof that up. It used to be Scary Adventures. I'm just going to call it that for now. I know it has a new name. Yeah. But that one, even updated, doesn't have as long of a wait time as Peter Pan.
So Peter Pan's flight has a 68-minute average wait time in Magic Kingdom.
Gosh.
Second only to Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. And Seven Dwarfs Mine Train has an 80-minute wait.
Man.
Like, in a park with that many rides, that's too long. It's too long. I can't disagree, but I can't jump in.
Yeah, and
not right
now. If you've never been on the ride, it's slow moving. You get into a pirate ship boat, and you basically hang from the ceiling. So it's like any other dark ride that you would go on a track, only you hang. So that's really the only difference. And you fly over London and then over Neverland, and it's basically glow-in-the-dark statues, which is cool. Again, I do like this ride. I'm not saying I don't like this ride, but I would say of the times we've gone with our family, we've only really ridden it about half of the time. And it's because we had literally a fast pass during that time period.
Yep.
Or the line, or we would go during fireworks. And if you go during fireworks, it's probably 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
I don't know. Not a bad ride, just a crazy long wait for that particular one. And I'm sure this is going to make people mad too, but I don't know. That's my 2 cents.
Can't disagree with you, but I'm going to wait to talk about this.
Gotcha. Understood.
But what I would like to do is kind of expound upon something you said earlier, and that is you mentioned Navi River Journey, which is my number 2.
Oh, okay.
And Navi River Journey for me,
I think you don't like this ride. Is that true?
So of the 5 rides on my list, 4 of them I will go on every time. 1 I'm fine with skipping. This is the one I'm fine with skipping.
Did you not like it because my family was singing in the row in front of you?
You didn't ride it in front of me.
What?
No.
We didn't go on this together?
No, we rode it separately.
Oh, okay.
We did. Animal Kingdom was kind of like, we went in early, we rope dropped. We tried to rope drop Flight of Passage. No, we tried to rope drop. Yeah, we rope dropped Flight of Passage.
We split for this.
We rope dropped Flight of Passage, and then after Flight of Passage, we did Navi River Journey, which had a really long wait because everything was down that day. Dinosaur was down. The safari had like an animal who was blocking the roadway, so we couldn't do the safari. Right. Everest was down that day. So as a result, this line was really long that day. So we sucked it up and waited because everything else was down. I wish I hadn't because I don't like the ride. I don't like it. And I know that you like it. I know look, it's beautiful in there, but it's not.
It's on my list. It's number 4 on my list, and I don't like that line.
Yeah, it doesn't really, for me, tell a story. It's just you're on a river, and it's not telling me anything other than you're on a river.
If the wait was always 10 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course I would, because it's a hot park and it's like air conditioned in there.
Yeah. Okay.
But
that answers my question.
The wait for Navi River Journey is the same wait we just quoted for Peter Pan's flight.
Yeah.
It's 68 minutes on average this year. That is insane for that ride. And I'm going to tell you something. Disney, I'm on to you. I know what you're doing. Because every time I get in that line, the thing says, oh, it's a 30-minute wait. It's a 30-minute wait from this point. And an hour and a half later, I'm still standing in the darn line because you don't want people going over to Flight of Passage. You're trying to pull your little tricks about redistributing people in the park. That's my major issue with this ride, too, is like, never have I ever gotten on that ride and been like, the wait time says 30 minutes and actually had it be 30 minutes or less. Almost every other ride at Disney, they overestimate the wait times. Not this one. They always underestimate it. And I go on to like my touring plans app, the Lines app, and I look and it says actual wait time 52 minutes. Yeah, it is, because it's not just 30 minutes like they say it is. I've had bad experiences in that queue. This last time I was in the queue, people are not paying attention to what's around them. This gentleman had his son was like climbing on the barricades for the switchbacks and stuff. And he like the kid's like stepping on my daughter's face.
Oh,
like,
I forgot about that.
And I was like, can you please get away from my daughter? And then the guy got mad at me. I was like, he just stepped on my daughter's head. Like, what are we really?
This isn't a hardcore show.
Yeah, like, what are we doing here?
That's the only time stepping on heads is okay.
Because she was leaning up against the railing, and this kid was climbing back and forth over the railings, which I'm waiting for the kid to fall and split his head open. Then he steps on my daughter's head. Anyway, that's me just being bitter.
Well, it sounds like you're calling out Disney and you want him to meet you at the bridge for a fight.
Yeah, I want him to meet me at the bridge. And we can head into the light. So then anyway, what I'm hoping for is like for them to recognize that lying to me about the times is not the way to redistribute people. Making the ride worthwhile is how to redistribute people.
And we can talk about this another time too, because this will be a total like tangent we get off, but we could talk about touring plans and what touring plans does.
Yeah.
Maybe another time.
Yeah, sure.
We'll get back to that.
And there's lots of apps like them. You don't have to use just them. They're not like a sponsor of the show or anything, but they're very good.
We're just saying that there are services out there that will give you like real time, like they have people who work at this would be the greatest job ever, by the way.
Yeah.
Your job is just go on rides and wait in lines all day.
Well, what they do is actually they rely on people like me. So I have the Lines app. When I step in line, I press a button
that says go.
This says go. When I get on the ride, I press another button that stops it. That sends it back to their system, and they use data to do it.
Yeah.
This is something I tell my statistics students all the time. If the information you're relying on is from the people that like it would benefit, don't rely on that information, right? If you're reading a report about how citrus is really good for your skin and it's from the American Orange Growers Association, maybe you need to seek a second opinion.
Right.
And so when you're relying on Disney to tell you what the wait times are, when the whole point of the Genie app is to like make their life easier and redistribute the population within the parks, I think you need to second guess. Navi River Journey is an okay break from the heat. It's a mediocre ride, in my opinion. That's my opinion. And its wait time is way too long. By like 40 minutes, it's too long on average.
That's fair.
That's my number 2. What are you finishing off with, which I know is not the same as mine?
No.
So go ahead.
No, my number 1, as I was putting my list together, I was talking with my wife yesterday, and I said, what ride's not worth the wait? She came up with this like instantaneously, because this particular ride at the Magic Kingdom is one of the only rides I had never done. Never done this ride before until recently.
You know, this actually, my wife replied my number 1. She replied my number 1 first, and then she said this one because I think I know where you're going.
My number 1 is Astro Orbiter.
Yeah, yep. That was her second thing out of her mouth was Astro Orbiter.
So Astro Orbiter's wait was I can't even remember what it was. It was definitely way over an hour. It was so long, and you wait in Tomorrowland on the concrete in the sun, baking and baking and baking. And the worst part about it was other people who had Genie Plus were getting lightning lanes for this. So we got right up. You get in literally an elevator, and the elevator takes you up.
It is the most ridiculous queue.
It is.
When like hearing someone say it out loud. So we waited in line in the sun, in the concrete to get on a crowded elevator to bring us up to the part where we waited in the sun longer.
Yes. So then you just stand there and wait, baking in the sun, and then they just keep letting the lightning lane people by you, and you're getting more and more angry, and you're dripping with sweat. And then you get on the thing, and then it makes you sick because it's another spinner ride. And my wife hated it. We all got off it and we're never doing that again. It was horrible.
So full disclosure, this was on my list.
Yeah.
And then I looked up the average wait times. And I think we just had a bad trip.
It was long.
So the average wait times in 2023 have been 32 minutes.
It was way over an hour.
Well,
and
right.
it wasn't even the Christmas one. It was the summertime.
It was this past trip.
Yeah.
If I go all time, the Astro Orbiter wait time is an average of 28.
Oh my God.
I think we just
not the times I've been there.
No.
The times I've been there, and I'm not doubting your information at all because I know they use actual data for that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is the times I've been, it has been an hour wait on average for all the times.
Oh, you're not wrong.
Summer, Christmas. I mean, those are the main times I go. Spring break, we've gone before.
This is one of the first times that you've said a number 1 that's not even on my list where I'm like, I agree. And it's not even on my list.
It's horrible.
But you could not like put together a group of people to dream up a more like crackpot idea than to have this queue. There is no queue. There's no queue.
So hot.
It's like, am I standing in line for People Mover, or am I standing in line to go on an elevator up to the Astro Orbiter? And then you get up there, and like you say, it's aggressive.
Yeah, it is.
So I can totally see why this would make your list.
Yeah, I hate it. Not worth the wait at all. I could skip this every time.
I think it's hilarious that that's how this shook out because, like I said, my wife said 2 rides, my number 1 and your number 1.
Yeah.
My son had this one on his list of rides that were not worth it either.
Astro Orbiter or yours?
Astro Orbiter, both of them.
Yeah.
The first one he said was my number 1.
Is it not even on my list?
No, it's on your list. We already talked about it.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
I'll actually just jump right to it.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Peter Pan's flight is not worth an hour plus wait on any day.
No, the queue is cool, but still, it's not worth it.
So I think that this ride is one that is definitely worth, and this is going to sound ridiculous for what this ride is. It is, if you're doing 2 Magic Kingdom days, this is actually worth rope dropping one of the days.
Yeah.
The other day you should rope drop Seven Dwarfs.
Yeah.
But this is worth a rope drop because it is worth going on, and it is worth going through that queue. And it's a cute ride. It really is. And I can't figure out how it takes that long, how the queue is that long when it's an Omni Mover.
I know.
It never stops.
No.
Like, and
Well,
if it
a little bit. It does a little bit, to be fair. They all line up, you stop, it pauses for you to get on, and then the pixie dust and you go. So, but you're still right. It is still an Omni Mover.
But it's not like stopping the flow of everything. Like, it's not like it's a train that comes in and stops. I can't figure out how this ride can't load more people quicker.
Well, maybe the capacity for each ship is what, 3?
3 if you have like a little one with you. Yeah, I think that's part of it. Yes, but like it is crazy long lines, and the worst part is like it's right at that choke point, which I don't know who designed that. Like, what kind of civil engineer was like, hey, let's make the thinnest part of the park, the thinnest walkway in the park, right by 2 like iconic rides.
Yep.
And we're going to have a ton of people and families here pushing strollers into each other's ankles.
It's the busiest part in any park I've seen.
Yeah, I don't get it. But the fact that this is an Omni Mover and it can't load faster bugs the heck out of me. The queue is awesome. I love it. And the ride is great. It's a ride I won't miss. But I'm not riding it after 10 o'clock in the morning. Because at that point, when all the families have woken up, when everybody's gotten to the parks, and all of a sudden you're looking, because it says the average is 68 minutes. Keep in mind, that average is including the 20-minute wait that you have for the first hour and a half.
Yep.
Because once everybody gets in, once the rush to Seven Dwarfs Mine Train ends, and they get off that ride, their second ride that they're rope dropping, the second ride they go to is this. And it jumps to like an 80-minute wait. We waited, I think, 30 minutes.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
And that was like, okay, I can deal with this.
Yeah.
68 minutes is the average. That means there's times when it's higher. Like, it's insane. Yeah. This ride is not worth
It's
that.
like I said before. I only have ridden this half the times I've been to the park.
What's crazy to me is I think this ride across the way, to me, is much more iconic. And I feel like the same number of people want to ride that ride, Small World, and yet its wait time is like not, I mean, what is it, 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Let me look it up. It's
average for Small World?
Yeah, the average for Small World.
I would guess 20, 25 minutes for Small World. And that queue's kind of nice. It's open.
24 minutes. Yeah. 24 minutes. Yeah. And I just don't understand how it is that's, that 68 minutes is the average for that. I don't know. So that's my number 1 is Peter Pan's Flight. I don't know. That's where I'm at.
No, and that's fine. It's just kind of funny that that's the way it shakes out. And we actually watched part of that movie recently. Went back to Peter Pan, and I don't think I've watched it in like maybe 20, 30 years.
Really?
I mean, think about the last time you watched it, maybe with your kids.
Yeah, I've watched it more recently than that.
But man, I don't really remember a lot of it. And the movie itself is, it's okay. It's not bad, but I can't see kids. I don't know if I see kids loving Peter Pan. I mean, I feel like they love Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell's become a thing.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe our listeners are like, nope, my kids love Peter Pan.
I like Peter Pan. I think
I like Peter Pan. I don't love Peter Pan, though.
Yeah. I mean, I guess part of it is just the whole idea of the ride taking you through like a very forced perspective. It's classic Disney, right?
Yeah.
So like your Disney historical like people who love the Disney history.
Well, that's me too, but I don't really connect with this one as much.
So I have a few rides that I'm like, I hope that I get evacuated from. Okay. One is not really evacuated from this first one. One was the seeing Space Mountain with its lights on. I got to do that this summer.
Right.
But I want to get evacuated from Peter Pan because they turn the lights on and you're walking through London because you feel like you're like 25 feet in the air, but you're like a stepladder away from the ground. So I feel like that would be kind of fun to get evacuated from there. I know that seems weird. Like, man, I really hope I get evacuated today. But as somebody who's been evacuated from Frozen, I can tell you it's kind of and it's Frozen, is it After Ever, Rob?
Yep.
Okay, Frozen After Ever.
When I'm there, I'm changing the sign.
That's a callback, by the way. If you haven't listened to last week's episode, that's a callback.
I was a little off.
So, I've been evacuated from a ride before, and it was kind of cool to like see the inner workings, but I really want to see the inner workings of Peter Pan's flight. But then again, that makes the ride wait now 90 minutes and 100 minutes for people standing in the line at that point.
I want to be from the Haunted Mansion graveyard.
Oh, that would be awesome too.
Because I feel like even all the times I've ridden that ride, every time I go on it, there's something new. Like, I don't remember an opera singer. Where does this opera singer come from? Then the next time I'm like, there's a mummy? I don't remember seeing a mummy.
I feel like this last trip they had redone the black light paint too. It was
brighter.
It was much brighter. It wasn't as bright because I've heard that you'll have to let us know, but I've heard it's actually brighter in general over in Disneyland.
I will let you know.
Yeah. So I don't know. I had fun doing this list. It was actually pretty easy for me to put together because I can think of the things I don't like to wait for.
Yeah.
You don't have any honorable mentions, right?
I don't, and I'll tell you why. Because some lines are really, really long, but I wouldn't put them on my not worth the wait because I would wait for them.
Right, which is why we're going to have to do an episode.
Yeah.
We have to do an episode.
Rides that are worth the wait.
Yeah. Rides that when you look at and you see the wait time, you're like, I'm not getting on it, and you just can't do that to yourself. You have to get on.
You have to.
And that, of course, Disney veterans are like, yeah, we all know this, guys. But not everybody who listens. Not everybody who listens is a Disney veteran. Yep. So, well, it's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow is just a list away.
Tune in next time, and we'll see you real soon.